Welcome back, student, in CKT MOOCs. We are continuing with the last, that is, types of clauses. Now we are going to deal with the subordinate clause is one of the type of clause. So in that subordinate clause, in the last lecture also we discussed that subordinate clause are recognized in part by their function and in part by their internal structure. So as per their function, we are come to know which type of clause it is. So functions which can be functioned by subordinate clauses are subject, object, complement and adverbial. The structure usually have some marker or other to help to indicate their subordinating status. So how to identify the subordinate clause? So there are three types of marking which is usually being used to identify the or to start the subordinate clause. So first one is a subordinating conjunction such as if, when, that, etc. Second, a WH word clause element that such as who, what, whoever. And the third marking indicator is a non-finite predicator. The clause which consists predicator which is non-finite, which didn't convey the tense, that is VI or VING or VEN as the first verb of their clause or a predicator we can say. So there, as we discussed, there are sub types of finite subordinate clauses. As finite I said, it means tensed subordinate clauses, the clause which conveys the tense, either past or a present. So there are 5 types of finite subordinate clauses such as noun clause, adverbial clause, relative clause, comparative clause and prepositional clause. So according to their function, they are performing in the main clause. So first we will learn what is noun clause and what kind of functions can be functioned by the noun clause. So noun clauses are again divided into 3 different types. So noun clause can function as a either subject or an object in a main clause. So we know there are 5 elements: subject, predicator, object, complement and adverbial. So that the first type of noun clause is that noun clause which begins with the conjunction that. As we in last slide only we have seen, there are 3 identification mark. One of them is the clause which starts with the conjunction. So that ghost exists is hardly controversial. So I have already marked the main clause and subordinate clause. This bracketing has been used to show the clauses. So this is for the main clause from the start to end, and there is that ghost exists. As I said, it is a subordinate clause, so it is marked in a different bracket. So which is started with the conjunction that, and that is why we are saying it is a that noun clause, because it is functioning as a subject in a main clause. So that ghost exists is a subject, is a predicator, hardly controversial is an adverbial. Second type is zero that. So zero that clauses are just like that clauses, except that itself is omitted. So it is same like earlier one, only the thing is that the conjunction that itself is a omitted. Example, I told Jay the earth is round. So as per the bracketing you may able to identify I told Jay is a main clause and the earth is a round is a subordinate noun clause. Correct. So I is a subject, told is a predicator, Jay is an indirect object and the earth is round is a direct object. So if you want, you can able to add that before the. Next type is a WH clause which begins with a WH element which may function within them it means within the subordinate clause as subject, object, complement or a adverbial. For example, who stole the teaspoon is mystery. So as per the bracketing you may able to identify is mystery. Is a main predicator, mystery is an object, and this whole noun clause who stole the teaspoon is functioning as an subject of a main clause, and who, as I said, who is functioning as a subject in a subordinate clause. Next type, that is Adverbial clauses. Adverbial, adverbial clauses can be classified semantically according to what question they answer. As you are aware about different types of adverbs, the words we are having which conveys the time, place, manner, reason, purpose, condition or a contrast. So according to the type of adverbial clause, we may able to identify as per the subordinating conjunction which is being used at the initial level of that clause, that subordinate clause. The subordinate clause which starts with the given subordinating conjunction. So if there is a adverbial clause about a place, it may start with the where or wherever. So accordingly, I have the example. Let's see directly the examples. First example, they went wherever they could find work. So now wherever, this particular word is conveys the place of adverbial. So it is a place adverbial clause. Second, I lent her my savings because she was short of money. So because gives the reason. So that's why it can be known as reason adverbial clause. Next example, when the weather improves, we are going on holiday. So when, again it conveys the time. I lent him some money so that he could buy himself a meal. Our subordinate clause started with the conjunction so that, which conveys the purpose. So why I have given the money, it convey the by the subordinate clause that he may able to buy himself a meal. Next example is, if you follow the instruction carefully, nobody will be hurt. So if it talks about the condition, if you do like this, that will happen, or that will not happen like this. And last one example is, although no goals were scored, it was an exciting game. It started with the although, which conveys the contrast. So it convey the contrasting meaning of the particular whole sentence. Next is a relative clause. So as you know, relative is always function as a modifier, post modifier in a phrase. So it is not directly part of any clause, it is indirectly part of another clause. So it typically begins with a relative pronoun, as it is a relative clause. It always begins with the relative pronoun or relative adverbs. First example, do you know anyone who can lend me a typewriter? So this who can lend me a typewriter is totally connected with the anyone. So the, and we, as you may say, the different type of bracketing as you haven't seen in earlier one, because this relative clause is the part of phrase. So we have done the two different types of bracketing. One is square bracket and another is round bracket. So square bracketing is used for the clause and the round bracketing is used for phrases. So this who can lend me a typewriter, one square bracket is missing here, which can be given before who. So who can lend me a typewriter, it is a relative clause and which is a functioning as a post modifier in this NP, because anyone is a head of that particular NP. Next is relative adverbs, who introduce the relative clauses such as the house where I spent my childhood. So where I spent my childhood is totally connected with the word house, and that is why we are saying it is the part of house where I spent my childhood is the NP. Next, in continuation on relative clauses only. So RCL introduced by an adverbial are different types, like zero RCL, in which the relative adverb is omitted, like the year I was born. So you may add like the year in which I was born or the year that I was born. Next is that RCL in which that function as an adverb. So here the example, like the year that I was born. So here this that is functioning as a adverb of the clause. Use of prepositional phrase in which the relative pronoun acts as a head. For example, the children with whom I used to play. So it is a prepositional phrase because it started with the preposition with, and this relative pronoun whom is functioning as an head, because you may aware that head of PP, that is prepositional phrase, is noun. So here, as we said earlier, WH word can function either subject or a object or a complement. So in that way it is functioning as a head and as a subject of the given clause. Next is comparative clause. So comparative clauses are like RCL because in that they have a post modifying function. Unlike RCLs, however, they may post modifying not only nouns. As we seen, RCL means relative clauses only functioning as a post modifier in noun clause, but the comparative clauses also functioning as a post modifier in adjectives and adverb phrases. It follows a comparative form such as more, less, bigger. So always comparative, as per the name only you may able to understand. It is about the comparison. So with the words like more, less, bigger, smaller, with such a words we used to compare the things with the other things, and is introduced by the conjunction than. So always the comparative clause begins with the conjunction than. So it is very easy to identify the comparative clause. For example, in this country, we eat more food. You can say more food than we can grow. So the than and the more, these are the two identification marks to identify this clause is the comparative clause, because here they did the comparison between the food which is being grown and which is being eaten. Next is, he is less noisy than his sister was at that age. Again, here is also a comparison between the two siblings by less and than. Third example, you must have been working harder than I thought. Again, harder, third degree, with the introductory conjunction, that is than. Next, prepositional clauses. Prepositional clauses like prepositional phrases. So if you know the prepositional phrases, it begins with a preposition, just as PPs like NPs. So PCL are like NCL, that is P plus NCL, that is PCL. Examples, we have little evidence of who committed the murder. So this particular PCL has started with the preposition of and continued as WH noun clause, who committed the murder. So this particular clause functioning as a subordinate clause in the main clause, that is we have little evidence. So these are the different types of clauses that we have studied. Those are noun clauses, prepositional clauses, comparative clauses, relative clauses, and so these are the different types of finite subordinate clauses. I hope you have understood. So see you in the next lecture. Till now, thank you. Have a good day.